Rock and roll. Thanks for coming back to the guitar shop. Today what we have here is a USA Jackson, one of the old school ones. I think I may remember he said it was a 1993 model. Super cool. I think they called this finish Erie Des. It's kind of like a tie-dye in metallics. This is kind of green and blue with maybe just a hint of purple right at the outsides. Super sweet guitar. Neck through. It's high end. Even the Jackson logo is in mother of pearl. Bring that over here for camera too. Check that out. Mother of pearl. Can you see that? I won't know if you can see that until I'm editing the video, but very cool guitar. I'm a little jealous. I have a Jackson Soloist in my collection, but it's a Japanese model. Not even the highest end. So this one's in here for a new pickup. The pickup's already in place, but it hasn't been soldered. So taking care of those electrical connections is what we're going to do. My buddy who owns this guitar, he works on guitars a little bit. Think he's getting better. The setup on this thing, it plays pretty good. And but the high quality volume knob that he got, or well, potentiometers for the volume and tone, I believe, they don't fit through the holes in the guitar as it was originally sent out. And he's a little nervous to take a drill to his USA Jackson. I can't say I blame him. I was nervous too the first, I don't know, 1,000 times, or well, the first bunch of times I tried this, I was a little hesitant, but I know all the tricks, and so this will work out fine. So yeah, hang out and we'll finish the wiring in this thing, get it all buttoned up, and yeah, it'll be cool. So the list of parts appears like you got some CTS pots from All Parts. It's the good stuff, CTS. There may be some others that are equally good, but yeah, in my mind, it's hard to get better. They work great. Taper's usually real smooth, and I have never had much problem with them wearing out. I guess maybe you could, but in my experience, they last a really, really long time. And some Sprag, looks like orange drops. The good stuff. So, guess gonna have to start by unsoldering the rest of the volume knob connections, and then we'll widen out the holes. So I mentioned a drill, but I'm actually going to use a tapered reamer on this because in my experience it's a lot easier to go overboard and make it ugly if you use a drill, and the tapered reamer tends to go slow enough that you can exercise a lot of control. Dismount the switch, dismount the output jack. Now I don't know why there's white ground wires in this guitar. Maybe we'll check and make sure they're all supposed to be grounds. Oh yeah, that one right there just connects to the ground point on the shielding. So how much bigger do we have to make these holes? Yeah, they got lock washers and everything. That rocks. Yeah, good bit. Tapered reamer, y'all familiar with this? It's a tool that allows you to take the hole smaller by hand instead of by power like a drill. When you take it slow and easy like this, to camera so you can see that. When you take it slow and easy like this, it's hard to overshoot, and this thing going so slow tends not to chip out the paint. It just peels tiny little curls. That's all the paint out of the hole, and we're starting to bite into the wood. Let's see how much of the problem is just overspray clear coat. That's very close. Take it just a little further. Easy does it. These are probably the biggest. Oh, see, it's starting to fit. That seems like that's probably good. One trick to using these kind of tapered reamers is the gunk that you cut out of the hole last time kind of marks your progress, how deep the reamer needs to go. So once you figure out how deep the reamer needs to go to hit the right diameter, then you just replicate that on all the rest of the holes. Like if you're doing tuning machines and you got to go through 6 holes, has a little taper. So as it goes deeper, it cuts wider. That looks good. All right, let's get to wiring. So I guess all of the ground wires in this guitar are white as far as like the shielding is concerned. And because it cuts a taper, it leaves the hole smaller on the inside, or the far side I suppose. So just going to kind of chamfer those edges so that the skinniest part of the hole is kind of towards the center of the guitar instead of back here at the control cavity face. Yeah, works good. And these little tabs that are on these potentiometers, that is useful in other applications, but it's not going to help this potentiometer stay put in this one. So you just make it go away. And then the lock washer should be sufficient to hold everything still. I'm liking that. Volume knob, you got to ground this outside lug so that you have reference to ground. That's going to be what sends the signal to ground, which is what you're doing when you turn the volume knob off. Off volume knob is just all signal to ground. Go ahead and open this other one. It'll be our tone knob. Forget the lock washer if you got one. Do this on camera, huh? If it's not quite that easy to make the ground connection, there's a problem. It shouldn't take minutes and minutes for your soldering iron to heat up the back of that potentiometer. Problems can be varied and many and varied. I think a bad soldering iron point can be a part of the problem. Crappy solder can be part of the problem. Some potentiometers have a coating on there that I think can be part of the problem. I have noticed some of them have kind of a bronzy sheen, and things go much more smoothly after you cut that or scratch a spot down to the base metal. So there's a bunch of different ways to wire up a tone knob. I gotta say, I don't have a particular favorite. Seems to me like Duncan's wiring diagrams tend to be right, and it wants the capacitor to come on the same lug here where this volume knob is getting its input. Let's go ahead and make that secure real quick. Capacitors tend not to be very heat resistant, so it's good to get in and get out on a solder joint where you got a capacitor lug in there. Duncan's wiring diagram is showing it going something like that. Oh yeah, now that I've heated this one side of the capacitor, I'm going to let the capacitor cool down a good whole bunch before I go attaching the other half of it. I kind of prefer to do this where you kind of work on the solder joints that are hardest to get to first, and then work on the ones that are easiest to get to last, or go kind of from the bottom of the cavity to the top of the cavity. Oh, was my hand blocking the camera? I'll go ahead and say it, but I advise look it up every time. But Duncan wires, the red and white go together to make the series link. Typically the green is sent to ground and the black is your output that you send to the switch or wherever the output of the pickup is headed. But although you can take my word on it on this one, I advise go ahead and look it up every time and never be too careful. Some stuff tends to change without notice. Although Duncan's been doing that for a long time. I doubt they will change without notice, or if they change without notice, you'll hear the uproar. I'm not the only one that's got their color code memorized. Oh no, it's going there. Yeah, I gotta peel this back a little further. Oh yeah, he requested on this that I make the pickup auto tap. So when you go to, I usually call it position 4, where you got the neck and the bridge at the same time. So he gets that kind of strat sound with a single coil automatically. So I guess, since I'm not certain if the phase of these Jackson pickups is the same as the phase of this Duncan, I'm not going to twist the grounds together like that. Just attach them each individually in case I have to reverse green and black. I'm going to go ahead and put the shield wire at the focus of the star ground here. Yeah, what the heck, we'll put the green wire there too. It's hard to solder for the camera and not get your hands in the way, I have discovered in video editing. Okay, so I know where the pickup output's supposed to go on the switch. I should have tinned both of those at the same time. Go. Hot output of the pickup goes to this one lug that's already been used. I don't like the look of that solder that they used previously that's still stuck on the post. Looks like lead-free solder to me. Either that or it's crystallized, hard to tell. Lead-free solder looks crystallized in my experience, my limited experience. I can't say I like the stuff much. If you're in a place where you have to use it, maybe send me some tips and tricks about how to get good results with it. Don't know if the difference in the shininess shows up in the camera or not. Let's just get a mouthful of that out of there. Okay, so that's bridge selected, that's both, that's middle. So I need to send a series link to this lug here. Go ahead and touch up that other half of this capacitor while it's easy to get to and I'm thinking about it. Trim that first lead that we connected. Use this little scrap of capacitor lead to accomplish the ground for the tone circuit. I think it's better to use this white wire from the Jackson build to complete the ground between the two pots than to use it for the ground on the switch. I think the ground on the switch is going to have to be a black wire so that way the circuit is easy to identify for the next guy that comes in here with a soldering iron. We need to ground the switch. Everything else in here is plastic insulated. Got these wires left over from an EMG install. Use black wire from that so then everything stays consistent looking and modern. Yeah, probably so, huh? high fidelity is not usually a consideration for ground wires. Oop. That knocked camera 1 out of position. Looks like this video is mostly camera 2, so probably won't matter. So I think hook up the ground to the output jack and we're done here. Let's give it a quick test. See about phase. I think that sounds right. The ultimate test of phase, though, would be here if the 60 cycle is worse or better. So high gain, that's pretty buzzy, isn't it? So, although I thought that sounded okay, let's flip green and black, see if it sounds better. Oh, and of course I soldered something on top of green. I have to do 3 steps back. Take that ground off of here. Oh, well, that's the only one. I think there's a way to do this while you can watch me and not get burned. Although I'd like you to be able to see, I mostly don't want to get burned. Okay, so we'll move green to the switch. Ground black real quick. See what that did to the hum factor. As quiet as these Jackson single coils are, I wonder if they're actually single coils. No, that's better phase. Well, then let's button her back up. Hum's not any better this way, but it does sound more like that pickup position is supposed to sound. Still got some twang, but it's not as twangy. Well, I like to use the dress washers, but these potentiometers are not sticking up very far. It's a good thing we cut those anti-rotation posts off them right from the beginning. Otherwise, we'd be fishing them out and doing it right now. Yeah, they just don't stick through very far. Close the cover back up. I always love that these things have metal plates. Talk about a shield. Put the knobs on. He did send me some knobs. Oh, and the screws to mount the pickup in place. It's just held by tape right now, I guess. Oh, gonna have to drill the knobs out. They don't fit over these 1/4-inch shafts. Alright, so I guess we have to drill the holes for the pickup mounting ring. Is why he didn't mount the screws. I didn't remember that until the screws didn't go in. Now I see that's what the problem was, why he didn't do that. To be honest, I like how the pickup centers under the pole pieces with these screws in their original location. So we'll just go ahead and lock those down. That'll give us our reference on where to drill the other two. So those pole pieces line up pretty good. Tiny little screwdriver, or a tiny little drill bit. And then slightly bigger drill bit to drill these knobs out. So you need something to protect the knob from the teeth of the pliers while you're holding it for the drilling. Nice thick piece of cardboard usually works great. I can see how this might make you nervous trying this, but usually works like a charm. Okay, and we need the 1/4-inch bit. Watch out, because it always grabs the drill bit. Oh wow, it bent my drill bit. Guess that's the next to the last use for that crappy drill bit. And it was a crappy drill bit. Ooh, and it didn't open it up quite enough. Okay, let's find a non-bent, slightly larger drill bit. Can't say I've ever seen that happen before. Maybe speed played a factor in that. The drill wasn't spinning fast enough. I don't think so, but can't say that I know for sure. Well, I don't know if it was speed or just a different drill bit, but that was more like how it usually goes. Alright, well, I guess that concludes our install of volume and tone pot on a USA Jackson. Well, thanks for swinging by the guitar shop today. Hope you enjoyed it or learned something, or maybe a little bit of both. And I guess keep checking back. There'll be more cool stuff next time. You should warm up before you try to shred. Rock and roll. Thanks for watching. I hope you come by the shop again next time. Catch you later.